it is very important to make your code, whenever you dey write programming code, it is very important to make sure say your code dey very versatile, e dey dynamic. E no be just one long line of code wey just dey run, dey run, dey run without direction. E dey important to make sure say your code fit make decisions based on certain conditions. This ability to make decisions na wetin we dey call conditionals. If statements and conditional statements na im we take dey help our code decide wetin to run, which direction to go based on certain conditions. To write if statement for JavaScript, you go first write the keyword if, then you go open and close brackets. Like say you dey write function and then curly braces. The difference between function and if statement for here na say, even though we go first write the keyword and open and close bracket, with function, you go write the name of your function. But with if statements, you no need to write any name. If statements no dey get name. So you go write the keyword if, then open your bracket, then open your curly brackets. Now, we get some common operators and operations wey we dey use inside if statements. Na those operations na you go put inside this bracket. The condition wey you wan check if e dey true or not, na you go put inside this normal bracket. And then inside this curly braces, you go put wetin you want do, wetin you want make your program do. If the condition wey dey inside this normal bracket, if e return true, if it evaluates to true, that if the condition dey true, then e go run the code wey dey inside these curly braces. But if the condition no dey true, e go skip this section. E no go do anything. Now, the common operators and operations wey we dey put inside this bracket, one of them na equal to. We dey check if two things dey equal to each other. E fit be numbers, strings, any data type. E fit be arrays. E fit even be one single variable you wan check. For instance, make we check if two variables dey equal to each other. To check if two things dey equal to each other for JavaScript, we dey use the double equal sign. For instance, make we get two variables A and B, and both of them dey equal to 5. That's both of them na 5. To check if dem dey equal to each other, you go write A equal to B. Why we dey use equal to? Na because say one equal to, one single equal to, we take the assign variables like we do for here. But to compare, you guys use double equal to. You fit compare one variable to another, like say A equal to B. Or if you compare the values directly, like say 5 equal to 5. Both of these statements go evaluate as true because yes, A na 5 and B na 5. So yes, both of them dey equal to each other. That's true. And then 5 na 5. So yes, this one too dey equal to each other and na true. But if we change the value of A, now A no be B. And in this case now, if we write A equal to B, it will return false. You fit put your if statement inside a function so that you no go need to dey change the value of your if statement every time. You go just use one function wey you go supply argument and e go come dey help you check. Remember, we don discuss functions. Said functions, we dey use them, they make our life dey easier. So now, maybe you write one function, we go call am check similarity. Then this function will take two arguments, first data and second data. Then for the logic of our function, we go come write an if statement. We go say if open bracket first data double equal to second data. That is, if the first data is the same thing as the second data, then deal a thing with the inside this following curly brackets. So we go open curly braces to write wetin we wan do if these two variables dey the same. For now, without do something simple, we go console.log these two variables are the same. So now, if we want call our function and we pass in two arguments with this function, e go check if both of them dey the same, and if they dey the same, e go console log these two variables are the same. But if they no dey the same, e no go do anything. And we fit pass any two variables inside our function. E fit accept string. If we pass string, e go check if the two strings dey equal to each other. And e fit accept number. If we pass number, then e go check if the two numbers dey equal to each other, and so on. May we call the function with 10 and 10. If we pass in one string of hello world and then the second string of hello bay, you go try to compare these two. Since they no be the same, you no go do anything because our if statement evaluates to false. Again, all of these things we don't learn now before. Now, another thing where I will introduce you to quickly, now the triple equals to operator. This triple equal to operator, they different from the double, but are still generally the same thing that they do. Then they check if two things they equal. But for JavaScript, if you get number, let's say you get number as 10, and then you get another string as 10. Both of these things are different data type, but if you check them with double equal to, you go evaluate to true, because JavaScript, they do type conversion. So it go convert both of them to the same type automatically for you, and it go return true. But if you don't want make you do this thing, if you want make it return false, if they no be the same data type, then you go use triple equal to. So if we use this triple equal to for this string 10 and number 10, you no go return true. You go evaluate to false. Another common operator and operation we will do with if statement now to check greater than, less than, greater or equal to, lesser or equal to. Obviously, all of us sabi wetin be greater than. We just dey check if this number dey greater than this number. And the same thing with less than. We dey check if this number dey lesser than this number. If we check if this number greater than this number and e dey greater, e go return true. But if e no dey greater, e go return false. Same with less than. If we check if this number dey less than this number and e dey true, e go return true. But if the number no dey less, e go return false. Now, greater or equal to means say we dey give am two options. We dey say first, check if e dey greater. If e no dey greater, then check if e at least dey equal to. For instance, if we check if 10 dey greater than 10, the answer na false. For 10 no dey greater than 10, 10 dey equal to 10. So if we check if 10 dey greater or equal to 10, then this one na true, because yes, e no dey greater, but at least e still dey greater. E go only return false if e no dey greater and e no dey equal to. Same with less than. We dey ask, shey this number dey less than this number? No. Okay, but shey this number at least dey equal to this number? If yes, then e go return true anyway and execute any statement we write after. If no, e go return false and e no go execute. But e go return false only if e no dey less than and e no also dey equal to. We also get the not equals operator. This not equals operator, we dey write am with exclamation mark before the equal to. This one now we say check if this number no dey equal to this number, or is this string no dey equal to this string. So if you say check if 5 not equal to 5, that equal return false, because obviously 5 dey equal to 5. But if you check if 3 is not equal to 5, then yes, 3 no dey equal to 5, so it will return true. Remember, all of these expressions we will write with our double equal to, greater equal to, less than or equal to, not equal. All of them, they return true or false. And now the true or false where they return, now it will determine whether the code will dey inside our if statement or run or not. We also get the and or operators. We dey use the and or operators to check two or more statements together. We leave them to check two different things at once. For instance, if for our code, we dey check our user's name and their age. We want check for one particular user, and we want check whether this username dey equal to Precious, and at the same time, we want check if their age dey greater than or equal to 18, if they be at least 18 years old. Now, we fit write down two different if statements. Now, our first if statement, we go say if name equal to Precious. And for our second if statement, we go say if age greater or equal to 18. But instead of writing two different if statements like this, you fit join both of them together using the AND operator. We dey use am with this double ampersand symbol. So we go write if, open our brackets, and inside our brackets we go first write the first condition, which is name equal to precious. We dey check if the name na precious. Then we will all write this and with this double ampersand, age greater or equal to 18. So now he go check these conditions first before he execute wetin dey inside his braces. And wetin do the condition we want make he check? We want make he check first, is the name equal to precious? If the name no dey equal to precious, then he no go even bother to check the second thing, because for this code to return true, both of them must be correct. If he doesn't say the first one no dey correct, he will come out. But if he check, okay, the name is equal to precious, he still not go run until he check the second condition, which is okay, is the age greater or equal to 18? Yes, then he go come run. No, then he no go run. Now, if you only need one of the conditions to be correct, he gets way with the right time one too. So in this case, one checked if this one or this one is correct. We know the check if this one and this one. With or, we only need one of them to be correct. And now double pipe symbol. This symbol for here. Now in we take the right our or statements. So now with this one, I would say check if name equal to precious or age is greater or equal to 18. He only need one of these ones to return true for him to execute our code. So if you take the first condition, I may say yes, the name is equal to precious. One of them don't dey true be that. Say he go do wetin I want, may he do. But if you check and the name is not dey equal to precious, he will say, okay, I still give you one more chance. Check if at least the age they equal to or over 18. If this one too no dey true, then he no go work because none of them dey true. But if this one dey true and this one no dey true, or this one dey true and the second one no dey true, if only single one of them dey true, it be enough for our code to run. This code no go run only when both the name and the age no dey correct. That is, the name no be precious and the age no be at least 18. Another thing we really check with if statements la if something dey naturally true. By naturally true, wetin I mean say we no need to compare am with something else, either with double equal to or greater than or less than loop. We dey check if JavaScript automatically, naturally recognize this data as true. And yes, you get some data where JavaScript be automatically and naturally recognized as true. And you get some where it automatically recognize as false. Example of the data where JavaScript they automatically recognize as false, na the Boolean data false. So if you literally write false as your variable, then yes, false will evaluate to false. Other data with the naturally return false now 0. If you check 0 inside if statement, it will automatically return false. If you check undefined inside if statement, it will automatically return false. Null, empty strings, and data will not exist, like variables will never assign, create, or declare. All of these ones, if you put them for your if statement, it will automatically return false. Any other data apart from all of these ones where they automatically return false will return true. So if you get variable of Boolean true, numbers, any numbers when no be 0, any string when no be empty, any variables when no be undefined, all of these ones go automatically return true, even if you put only then inside if statement without comparing to anything else. So make we do some examples and tests. I go write this if statement. This if statement, I want me a log. This is true if anything where we evaluate inside and return true. Now we go test these variables and we go see whether they will log these strings or not. The first variable will use the Boolean true. Now, has something say this one go equate to true or not? Yes, it go equate to true because true, not true. What is the variable of false? Then no, you no go log anything because false no be true. False, now false. Now, what if we evaluate this number 10 and we check the condition of the number variable? Say this number will be true or not? Yes, it will be true because any number will not be 0 will be true. Even if we do 100, 5,000, 5 million, any number, as long as it no be 0, it will return true on its own. Now, if we set our variable as undefined, null, or empty string, I would evaluate them. Wetin it will return? It will return false. All these ones go dey very important when you start to dey write code, because when you start programming, one thing wey you go dey do na you go dey use if statements to check if your users don provide data. For instance, if you dey try collect paper from your users like their names and their email, and you dey save this data inside one variable, you go first check if this data contain something before you send down to your database. Make you no go dey send empty data to your database. So wetin you go do na say you go run if statement on that variable. Let's say you set the variable of the data wey you wan collect to be first name and email. Now you go write if open brackets, then you go write the name of that variable, first name. Now wetin you dey check here na say you dey check if this variable dey empty or if e contain something, because if e contain something, anything wey no be zero or empty string, then e go return true. But if e contain empty string or undefined or null or zero, that means say they never provide wetin you need. And for your if statement, you go don specify if this thing return true, then do wetin I wan make you do. Maybe send the data to database. But if you don't contain anything, then no do anything. And if you know wetin you dey expect, you fit also directly check if the data wey they provide na wetin you dey expect. For instance, if you ask them to give you the capital of Nigeria and you set the answer to a variable, they'll call this variable capital. You fit directly check if the variable wey they provide to you na the correct answer, which is Abuja. So you go just write if statement to check if capital wey they provide equal to Abuja. Then you all write what you want may it happen if they get them correctly. If they get them correctly, then this condition go evaluate to true. And then you go write, congratulations, you are correct for the console log. Now, all the if statement we dey do since morning, we dey use have write or code wetin we want may it happen if our condition evaluate to true. But if it evaluate to false, we know the same may it do anything. We go just say may it jump. Now wetin we dey write with that automatically say just keep H code if this thing not evaluate to true. But you also fit tell them to do one specific thing if your code evaluate to false. And how would you do am? I say would use else statements. So after the curly brackets of your if statements, you fit also write else. Then you will come open the curly brackets of your else. Now this one will take, they say, okay, firstly, check this condition if it's true. If it's true, do what's in the inside this first curly braces. And then if you know the true, which is else, do what's in the inside this second curly braces. So now, if our data mode they equal to each other in this our function, we will come back else console log. These two variables are not the same. If statement with only one if like this, we take they use them check one condition. However, if you get several conditions where you want check one after the other, you feel use what they call else if. Now, I know they talk about and or like we do before. Remember those and or with the reason check two conditions at the same time. But if you want check more than one conditions at different times, one after the other, then you go use what we call chained if statements. I will give you example. Let's say you be teacher where they grade your student exam scores. You won't give them grade based on the range of their scores, so that you wonder if they get A, B, C, D, E, or F. You should check them by using chained if statement. To chain if statement now, we go first set our score variable to the score of one student. Now we go on write if statement to check if the score they greater or equal to 90. In this case, we go console.log your grade is A. Now this code go work well for any student will score more than 90 or 90. But let's say our student score 67. Then once it check with this if statement, it will say, oh, his score no they greater than 90. So it no will do anything. We will just keep this code. We will fix them by writing an else statement. So after the first if, we go write else console log your grade is not A. So this one now, it will check if the score did 90 or more. If the score dey 90 or more, it will say congratulations, your grade na A. But if your score no dey at least 90, then it will say, well, your grade no be A. This one dey good, but still e no dey good enough. We still won't know if na B, C, D, or F. So we go write more if statements, which we dey call else if statement. So after our first if, we go write else if the score is greater or equal to A3, console the log, your grade is breached. So wetin this one go do like say, e go first check if the score na at least 90. If you see say the score no be at least 90, you go come go to the second else if to check if e be at least 80 or more. Then if e be 80 or more, he will come say, okay, your grade now B. But if e no be 80 or more, we will write another else if. This one go check for 70. And then we go write another else if. This one go check for 60. And then at least 50. So now you will check everything step by step. And then finally we'll go write our else. Now this else will cover anything will be 0 to 50. And for that one now, we will say your grade is F. Now notice here for our else statement, no brackets in front. No bracket in front of our else statement because the else statement no dey check for conditions. If they do, wait till you won't do after we don't check for all of our conditions with if and else if. Now, cases where we dey use change else if statements like this, they're very common for JavaScript. And like I tell you, the aim of programming now to make our life dey easier by finding effective, easy ways to write code without repetition. If you get code and listen to this code, they repeat things, mean say your code no be good code without, because you need to find a way to make it very efficient without repetition. And so to avoid repeating else if statements will go long like crazy, you get wetin we take the drum with the column switch statements for JavaScript. Switch statements na meter way of writing changed if statements. So maybe we say we get one color variable and we set them to blue, but these are our color variable fit be anything, and we want check wetin it be before we do something. How we go do am? We fit write change if statement to say, okay, if color equal to blue, do something. Else, if color equal to yellow, do something. Else, if color equal to purple, do something. But you fit also use switch statements. To write switch statement, you go first write the keyword switch, then open and close bracket. Inside this bracket, we go write wetin we dey compare our cases to. Our cases na wetin dey inside our variable. So now, in this case, we dey try compare our first case to the value inside our color variable. Now, when we put color here, switch they always compare strictly. So if you write 10 as number and they compare am to string 10, you know go evaluate to true, you go evaluate to false. Automatically now triple equality they use behind the scene. So now for your first switch case, you go write the first case for case red. That is the cases where our color variable na red. We go tell them to do wetin dey under this column after this line. In our own situation now, we just want to make a console log this color is red. Again, wetin we dey do be very simple. We dey give the computer one case and say compare the case to this value inside the switch statement. If they are the same, if this comparison return true, then do wetin dey under. Then we go write our second case. Another thing we want check, case yellow. That is check if this case, which is yellow, they the same as wetin dey inside our variable. If it dey the same, then do wetin dey under this case. If you know they're the same, then move on. Check the next case. He will continue to compare each of our cases to wetin dey inside this switch bracket, which is our color variable. And he will only run our case if the comparison dey true. And then finally, we will write the default, which na like our else statement. That is the final thing we won't do. If all our checking, all our conditions we will check for, if none of them return true, that is, if none of these things might refill with the inside our variable we will compare to, then do this default case. For our first example of the result scores of our students, we will try a grade. The fit also like this one as switch statement. If we write them as switch statement, then it will be like this. Now, this is saying basically like the last switch statement. We get our switch, then we get our various cases, then we get our default. But get one big difference between them. For our switch bracket, we put true. Remember, for our last one, we put the variable where we dey try check color. This one, we not put the variable score. Because for this one, we dey try check range. We dey try check if the score na from one number to one number. So we not necessarily they compare the number exactly with the number. If so, we dey compare the number exactly, and we feel like this variable here. But because we dey compare range, we go do am smartly. We go compare our evaluation with true. Now, when we put true inside this switch bracket. So now we dey say if this statement when we put here evaluate to true and it is the same as the true which dey inside our switch. If both of them are true, then run this code. But if not, then no run the code. Now, we don't already cover a lot under if statements and conditionals, and we don't almost reach the end of the lesson. But before we conclude, I want maybe look at one thing where new programmers, they always make a mistake. We say he will show you who be good programmer and who be bad programmer. Now, see this code now. We dey use if statement to return Boolean true or false. We dey talk say if 9 greater than 7, return true, and if not, return false. But you see, all of this code now nonsense code, because these expressions, like I tell you, every time when you dey do equal to or greater than equal to, they use these operators, you go naturally return true or false. So you may need to say if this one are true or false, return true, or else return false. No, because now what it dey do naturally with that. If you simply write 9 greater or equal to 7 or 9 equal to 8, he don't already write his if statement for you under the hood. Because now waiting this 9 equal to 8, he deal with that. Like just like one simple if statement, you say if this thing they equal to 8, automatically return true. If not, return false. So no need to write this long code to return Boolean values with if statement. You only need to write if statement if you want to do something else. After you check your conditions, whether they equate to true or not, then you will go write what you want to do after beside this code braces.